everybody, it's Brandon Scheid from Liquid Force Kites, and I'm here today to talk with you about a brand new product for our 2019 product cycle, and it's called the P1. Now the P1 was originally designed with the goals of making a kite that was really easy to use, something efficient and fast, something with a ton of hang time for boosting, an easy relaunch, and a large sheet in and go style sweet spot. So we wanted something that provided a ton of power, that was easy to ride, and had a ton of hang time for boosting and free riding. Now, in order to achieve those design goals, we had to look a little bit outside of our current design program and enlist ourselves with another designer. And we were looking for someone who designed kites that kind of fit into those categories. And when we looked through the market, we ultimately found someone named Simone Vannucci. And Simone has had some history in designing kites for RRD, Royal, as well as ASG racing kites. And all those kites that he designed had a few things in common. They were extremely efficient, they were really fast, and they provided a really good sweet spot. So when it came time to decide, like, hey, who are we gonna work with to kind of make this kite happen, it was really a no-brainer, and we reached out to him, and he was really happy to get on board with us. Not only did that help us produce this P1, but the synergy between Simone and Julian really helped us design a few other things in our product line and really help bring a cohesive design structure to our brand that included more options than we had before. So once again, Simone Vannucci designed it. It's for boosting, free riding, that person that wants that sheet in and go feel, and I'm really happy that we achieved all of our design goals in this kite. Now, there are several ways in which you can achieve those goals, you know, from shape, profile, bridles, construction, all that stuff. So let's go over a little bit of the characteristics that we see in the design of this kite that leads itself to get those desired effects. And the first big one is the shape of the kite. So you can see just from right here, we have a pretty swept wingtip. I'm gonna go ahead and pick the kite up so you can really see how much sweep is in this kite. From leading edge to trailing edge, you can see the kite really curves in towards the back of the wingtip. And what that allows is the kite to really shift forward and backward in its power band, which means the kite itself has a large wind range, meaning it really produces a lot of power when you're sheeted all the way in. And as you sheet out, the kite is able to tip forward and dump a lot of that power out the back of the kite, giving you that sheet in and go feeling and that really, really great smooth power engagement on the power band. Not only does that give you really good, you know, sheet in, sheet out power band, it also helps the kite relaunch. So we'll come over to this side. I'm gonna go ahead and put the kite down completely on the surface, and you can see how high that wingtip sits off the surface of the ground here, but in this case it's the ground, but of course it would be the water when you're flying the kite. That allows the kite to really easily roll up onto its wingtip for relaunch. So for a kite that is gonna work for a free rider and someone looking for a really easy to ride kite, relaunch is really important. We wanted something that relaunched really, really easily, and we're able to get that with that big sweep in our leading edge shape. The next big thing that changes how a kite flies is called the profile of the canopy. And the profile of the canopy is the curve in the canopy, meaning from the leading edge to the trailing edge, how much does this canopy bubble up and curve, kind of like the wing of an airplane. And the more bubble and curve you have in the canopy, the lower aspect the profile is, and the more drag and kind of slower the kite will fly. The flatter you make this profile, the more efficient the kite's gonna fly, and the range is gonna be a little bit increased. So we went ahead and went with a really flat canopy profile from wingtip all the way through the center canopy of the profile and center of the canopy, and that really gives us a kite that is really efficient. It also allows us to produce a ton of power and lift. So that makes the kite boost really well and gives it a ton of power given its wind range. So the profile kind of flat, made for going really fast, made the kite really powerful and efficient. The next big thing is the bridle. So actually getting a low hassle, no pulleys involved bridle was really important to us. We didn't want a lot of moving parts, things that could break. And also we wanted something that was simple and easy and provided the cleanest setup that we could think of. So we went with a really low hassle, double cascading Y bridle. As you can see, it just cascades down the leading edge with a lot of support on the leading edge, meaning the kite is really rigid and really responsive in the sky. You'll notice that these wingtip or these bridles are actually pretty compact, and they can't actually even make it to the wingtip to wrap around. So no more bridle wraps, nothing too crazy here with the bridle, just really compact, efficient, and straightforward. On the trailing edge, we went with a Y bridle, and the reason why we went with that is we wanted a little bit more support on the wingtip to improve the feel of the turn on the bar. So this Y bridle really moves the toe point, you know, kind of up further on the wingtip, and gives us the ability to make that kite have a little bit more feedback on the bar, giving you a little bit more of an idea where the kite is and what it's doing. So that's great again for that free rider looking for a really low hassle kite, something that they can always feel in the sky and know where it's at and really deliver that turn and that precision power. So that kind of handles the shape, the profile, the bridles of the kite, and that gives it those characteristics that we are looking for. The next big thing about a kite that makes it fly really well is its construction, you know, how it's made and how much it weighs, and how that all relates back into how the kite performs is really important. So for us, construction is extremely important. We start by using the highest quality materials. Right now we're using Teijin triple rip canopy, and what that is it's a triple laminate stringer canopy, meaning you can see there's 3 fibers of laminate here through the canopy, and that makes for the strongest weight to ratio canopy that you can get. Combine that with these amazing coatings that Teijin uses, we have something that's extremely UV resistant and durable to salt water and corrosion in that capacity, which means your canopy is going to last a really long time. It's not going to tear super easily, and it's going to have a lot of life in it. For those of you that want to make your kites last as long as possible, that's really important. Additionally to the Teijin, we use a really high quality Dacron here in the leading and trailing edge, and you can see we use a minimal amount of Dacron here in the wingtip and just anywhere on the kite, with the explicit goal of reducing the weight of the kite. These things do need to fly in the sky, so the lighter you can make them, the better off they are. Another big thing on construction is our tension trailing edge. So it's something we've gone back and forth on, and it's something that's really important. It increases the laminar flow of the air over the kite, which means the air comes back together really smooth, and that makes a kite that's efficient and really stable in the sky. Now, this also reduces the amount of wear that you can see on the trailing edge of the kite, because this thing just kind of sits and flutters in the sky, flutters on the beach when you have it set up. So anything that we can do to increase the life of the rear of the canopy here is really important. And what we've done is we've added a Dacron tension trailing edge, and that puts tension through the kite, kind of disperses the load of the canopy between the leading edge and the trailing edge, and helps us achieve, like I said, that flapping durability. You can see another really important thing is it's not a straight line. So we have a high segment here, a low segment, and a middle segment of the seam. And that just helps break up that straight line, so you're not providing a point where the kite can just bend and break. So that's pretty important, that tension trailing edge. Additionally, in our construction techniques, we've added, you know, anti-grab guards here so that you can't wrap your bridles or your lines around your struts. We have that on every strut here, all the way down to the leading edge here. This one's the most important because that's where the bridle could get stuck. But once again, bridle can't even reach there, so I'm not quite sure how it would even get stuck there. Another important thing when it comes to construction is how you put all your seams together. So for us, we use what we like to call layered frame construction, and that's anywhere we go from a rigid Dacron to a canopy material, we have a layer of mark cloth, and that layer helps disperse the load between the two very different materials. One's really rigid, one's really soft, and that helps us overlap seams. You can see it here anywhere we have that layer, and that really aids in our glued and taped seams to make them stronger and more durable. We've also included a new EVA scuff guard that's a lot lighter than it was before. In past we used a more of like a foamy EVA. This is more of a rigid scuff guard. We also have some spots here on the canopy to prevent little holes from forming from your one pump here, as well as in the center of the canopy down here. All of our seams are taped and glued and stitched here with this really zigzaggy triple stitch pattern. That's pretty much an industry standard, and that just means your your kite is gonna really last a long time. If you crash it, you don't have to worry about your canopy ripping. Our leading edge reinforcement, or our leading edge attachment points, are extremely reinforced, as well as our seam is covered, taped, and triple stitched, which means we have like a really strong leading edge seam. Long gone are the days where you crash your kite and your leading edge is gonna explode and open up. And that's really important. We wanna pack reliability in these kites. We want you to be able to go out on a session and not worry about whether your kite is gonna explode or whether your kite is gonna make it and take you back to the beach. So reliability, extremely important. Another big construction thing that we're looking at here on the bridles is a flying line bridle. So we went with a flying line bridle versus a traditional kind of thicker line bridle, and that just reduces our weight as well as our drag in the air. So we're talking about a kite that becomes more efficient and lighter in the sky, and that's just important when it comes to flying in both light wind and any wind really. The more efficient you can make your kite, the better the thing's gonna fly and the more power it's gonna produce. So less drag, really easy to use, and straightforward bridles. Finally, the last construction thing that you don't necessarily see on this kite is the bladders. Now the bladders are actually the heaviest thing in a kite. If you were to wad up all the bladders in your kite, they actually weigh more than almost the whole kite put together. So it's really important that we use the highest quality material so we don't have punctures and tears and leaks, but we want something that's lightweight to reduce the weight. So we went with a 0.08 mm TPU bladder, and that's 0.02 mm smaller than we've had in previous years. What that means is we've lost a lot of weight. For a 12 meter, that's almost a pound of weight loss just in the inside material. So once again, translating to a kite that's efficient, that flies really clean through the air, that's really light, and that helps in a lot of different capacities. As always, our kites come with our max flow inflation system, single point inflation. You can see the leading edge is connected to the strut. We have clips in here so that you can isolate the two. And I think it's really important to have a really quick and easy inflation system. It gets you on the water quicker. It makes it easier for you to get on the water, and it's a lot easier to roll up your kite when the air comes out smooth and easily. And it's become pretty much an industry standard, the inflation system, but I'm happy to say that we were one of the first people to use this larger diameter inflation valve, max flow, and really speed up that whole process. So that's kind of the P1 in a nutshell. We have great build characteristics, our bomb-proof build characteristics. We have a lot of other things going on with the profile and the shape of this kite that lends itself to make it feel like a kite we've never really had in our line before. And that's built on that 5-strut platform, that sheet in and go feel, and something that, you know, really delivers that reliable, boosting, free ride kite. We wanted something that really allowed you just to get up and going, not worry about moving your kite a ton for power. Pull the bar in, get that power, have that really good sweet spot, and then also something that really, when you send it, provides a ton of lift and just really brings it up in the sky and brings you up in the sky to hopefully help you jump better and feel more in control. Now, because this kite is extremely efficient and it provides a lot of power, we want to recommend people rig, you know, this kite flies true to size, so don't over rig. I would say most kiteboarders at the beach generally ride overpowered. You know, they don't want to slog, you don't want to go downwind, so people tend to rig on the more powered side. Because this kite is so efficient and produces so much power, I think it flies really true to size. So don't be afraid to rig a 9 if everyone else on the beach is riding 11s. You won't be underpowered. You're gonna have a ton of power. You're just gonna be able to pull the bar in and go. And when you jump, you know, a smaller kite provides more lift. It's quicker, it's snappier. So for those of you looking for a kite that provides a ton of lift, these P1s really do hit the nail on the head with that. So I'm happy to say that we've really achieved all the goals with this kite. I'm so stoked with how it's flying, and I can't believe how good of a job Simone did with the design and just the overall presentation of this kite. So that's kind of the P1 in a nutshell, and it's something that I highly encourage you guys to get out and fly. It really has a feeling like no liquid force kite ever has before. And for those of you looking for that 5-strut sheet in and go boost machine, look no further than the P1 from Liquid Force Kites.